Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. Today is a video that I should have done for a while, but I think I finally actually feel confident enough to tackle it. Today we will be taking a look at not all, but most of the best ways to get into the Balisong hobby in 2025. The Balisong hobby changes very rapidly, and the reality is that a video like this is going to be outdated even just a month or two from now. But I want to give you a rundown of some of the best price points and options within those price points for you to look at if you are looking to get into this wonderful hobby, at least for this year. I'm not going to attempt to make a timeless beginner Balisong video, at least not on this channel. So let's take a look at some of your options, shall we? First of all, I'm going to get 1,000 comments about this. I know. There are cheap Balisongs on Amazon. If that's what you're looking for, if you're looking to spend less than like $40 on a good trainer, this video isn't for you. Just straight up. The problem with Amazon is not only do the listings change every 5 minutes, so it's impossible to give someone an actual recommendation or much less try everything on there, those Balisongs, 90% of them are going to fall apart a week after you get them. A screw's going to fly out, or they're going to flip in half, or some of them you can even break. I've literally tried a Balisong from Amazon you can break with your own hands. They're not great, and I just advise you to stay away from them. I understand if that's all you can afford, go for it, totally. But this video is for the people who want like an actual legitimate Balisong trainer rather than the things on Amazon that are going to fall apart. There are plenty of other people that can provide info on cheap stuff like that. So without further ado, the cheapest that you can go, at least in my opinion, in the Balisong hobby, is this, the Nibali's Canyon. This is going to run you about $40 to $50, and in that price range, it's actually insane nowadays. You can expect things like bushings. Now, I won't get into all of the specifics, but bushings essentially stick out a little bit further from the blade to make sure that your screws aren't tightened too far so that the handles can freely swing around the blade without binding. Binding is the term that we use for when your handles don't swing. So bushings, when they're well tuned, can avoid that. And the fact that you can get bushings in a Balisong for under even $100 nowadays is insane. Most of these Balisongs have bushings. Two of them do not, but we will talk about those when we get there. There is other things in this price range. There are things like the Nibali's extrusion, but you're really not going to get much better or much worse, I feel like, with the Nibali stuff. There is other stuff in the price range from other companies that I have not tried. This video, I should mention now while we're at the beginning, I'm not financially affiliated with any of these brands that I'm recommending you. These are simply just my options or my recommendations, and that is it, just my opinions on this stuff. This isn't absolute fact. Don't take this as gospel or anything like that. Everyone's going to have different opinions and stuff like that. But I should also mention that a few of these were sent to me for free from the company, and then the other ones I purchased myself. So disclaimers out of the way. But the Canyon, while it's not the best, I think it's a really solid start that's going to take you through maybe your first 6 months of the hobby, up to a year, I would say even. It's not going to give you the 100% experience of a Balisong because this is all steel. The weight is going to feel off from what we typically like to use, which is aluminum or titanium. But it's still an excellent, excellent option, and one that I can highly recommend if you're looking to spend that much. Moving up a little bit, this is the $50 to $60 range, and this is where I'm going to talk about plastic. Now, I don't recommend plastic to beginners, simply because a huge thing with getting into Balisongs is building up the finger strength required to flip the heavier Balisongs as you go up in price tiers. Because as you increase in price, things tend to be made out of titanium, and titanium is a little bit heavier than the aluminum that you're used to in this price range. So building up that finger strength is something that I definitely do recommend, especially because people aren't used to using their hands in this way a lot of the time. You'll see a lot of flippers who use their pinkies, their ring fingers, and that just, I've found at least in my journey, wasn't possible when I first started because I didn't have strength or dexterity in those fingers. That being said, plastic is amazing if you want a public-friendly, really light flipper that is fairly cheap. You have things like this, the palette, but you can also get some other excellent plastic options like the Squiddy B or the Cycloid HD, etc. You can look around, you can find some stuff. You can even find some cheaper stuff. But yeah, I generally don't totally recommend beginners get plastic just because it kind of can be a huge transition period into the metal trainers. That being said, I am someone who started on plastic and transitioned to metal. It wasn't a huge deal. It is possible if it's what you're looking to do, and there are some great options for you. Now here is the price range that I genuinely recommend that people start at. It's expensive, I know, but these trainers will last you the entire time you're in this hobby if it's something you decide you want to pursue. This is the $75, I'd say $70 to $80 price range, but pretty much all of these Balisongs that I'm going to show you in this price range are about $75. Here we have the Nibali's Reverie, the Nibali's Cheese, the LDY Orion, and the Thomas Balisong Refault with an R. Now these are where you really start to get genuinely high quality Balisongs for a really ridiculously affordable price. But you need to be made aware, and this is actually something that I should cover given today's current economic climate. These are all Chinese-made Balisongs. The Reverie, the Cheese, the Orion, and Thomas are all made in China, imported to the US, which means, this is what I was talking about earlier, in a month, these could be prohibitively expensive for the average beginner. That is a fact. That is a possibility that we have to face. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully we can still look at getting these things at a reasonable price because China has proven to be a really good source of very high quality trainers at a very budget friendly price. And I think all of these are fantastic, fantastic options. If you're looking for specific recommendations, the Cheese and the Reverie I picked because these are two sides of the same coin, really. The flipping performance is very similar on them. I find that I enjoy flipping them both about the same, but there's a few notable differences. The Cheese is coated in what we call Teflon coating. Yes, the Teflon that you use on your pans. It is a newer kind of technological advancement, quote unquote, that Nibali's thought up. It increases grip, it allows you to get different colors, and it also, according to them, improves the public friendliness of your trainer. So if you're looking for something that has a little bit more grip or has a more public friendly appearance, you can get something like the Cheese, whereas the Reverie is a very standard Balisong trainer through and through. Both of these have bushings, but the Reverie does not have that coating, which means it's a little more slippery, but it's also kind of more representative of what you're going to find in the rest of the hobby. Channel, which means that the handles are one piece, channel aluminum handles, bushings with your standard stainless steel blade, and it even has a blade profile reminiscent of live blade Balisongs. And the Reverie is something that I highly recommend because it also comes with these screws that you can take out of the handles if you want less handle bias. Handle bias is what we call it when the weight of the Balisong is more biased towards the handles rather than the blade. There is a balance point that is achieved between the weight of the blade and the weight of the handles, and depending on where that balance point lies, it can increase or decrease the performance in certain tricks. Now, you guys are beginners, you're looking to get into this hobby, so I'm not going to bore you with all of the books and the knowledge and all of that. Not that there are books. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of, with a college, what's the word I'm looking for? With a college lecture on balance points. All you need to know is that generally, handle bias improves the tricks that you guys are going to be dealing with as beginners. It improves the rollovers. It improves the chaplains. A lot of the things that beginners tend to learn first. So getting something with not a ton of handle bias, because too much of it can cause a lot of problems down the line. It's part of the reason I don't recommend the white Squiddy, the OG Squiddy as people call it, because it has too much handle bias to do other tricks that people might want to learn. But just a little bit of handle bias will help you guys out in case you're looking at something other than the things that I'm talking about here. This is the Orion. This is I think it has been the go-to beginner balisong for a while now. This is made by a company known as LDY, company over in China that makes, they're basically known for pushing the boundaries of price to performance in this hobby, as are Nabalis, but LDY I've always felt is just one step ahead with what they offer. This is 7075 aluminum. It's really not much different than 6061 aluminum, which is what most of the other things here are made of. But that being said, there is a durability increase. So this thing is going to take drops against concrete a little better, although you're looking at a sandwich construction. Sandwich construction handles just mean that there are two pieces sandwiching a spacer down here, and it can lead to difficulties with tunes or durability or whatever. Again, we're just in the basics here. I'm not going to bore you with the intimate details of all of this. But I find that the Orion is an incredible flipper and actually has been my go-to recommendation for a long time before the others exist. Now we live in a place where I call the big three: the Reverie, the Orion, and what I'll talk about next, the Refault. All provide different experiences at the same price so that beginners can get exactly what they're looking for. But you can see I also have mine customized with, this is a maker that you'll get very familiar with if you like customization. These are zippy inserts. They're plastic inserts in the blade. They increase the weight of the blade by a tiny, tiny bit, which can both change the color and aesthetics of your knife, but also the balance point. I won't get any further into that. And it is also worth knowing, for a little bit extra money, you can get a live blade version of the Orion, which if you're looking for a live blade, I wouldn't recommend it because learning tricks on a live blade can be extremely, extremely difficult. But this is by far the best bang for your buck in terms of a live blade from a reputable company that you can get. The Thomas Refault. This is, I mean, basically the same as the other two that we've talked about so far in the $75 price range, but this is yet another different build. This is channel handles, but it has scales on top of it, which means that it's not just a solid chunk of aluminum like the Reverie was. This is a solid chunk of aluminum with scales on top of it. This specific one is carbon fiber, but you can also get them in G10, just different materials that can provide different textures, different experiences, better grip, etc. The Refault is fantastic. I actually have yet to do my follow-up video on that. If you're a normal Blade Bias viewer and you're watching this video, watch out for this video in the coming days. Just need a little bit more time comparing it with the other beginner Balisongs, but this thing is genuinely great. Lots of customization with the colors and the scales and all of that, and it provides an incredibly good flipping experience, as well as if you're someone who really likes the sound of Balisongs, one of the best sounds in this price point because of those scales. Same construction all the way down, bushings, stainless steel blade, aluminum handles, etc. But this does provide yet another different experience for what you guys are looking for. If you're looking for something, I know someone's going to ask, hey, you said handle bias was good. Which one is the most handle biased? Definitely would say the Cheese or the Reverie on that one if you're looking for that more handle biased experience, but genuinely all of these will treat you right. And this $75 price range, I really do recommend it because these are Balisongs that even with my extensive collection down here, I still flip regularly. These are Balisongs that you're not going to outgrow. You're not going to get better and then suddenly not want to flip it anymore. You're not going to get better Balisongs and then these are going to feel bad. They're genuinely something that can grow with you for years if you continue in the hobby. Next up, we have the homegrown American-made budget Balisong. This is the Squid Industries Squiddy AL. Hopefully something that won't double or triple in price, but you know, there's always raw material imports that they do as well. This is a little bit more, $85. This does not run on the bushings that we talked about, but Squid is kind of known for their tuning game. They're based in California. They're legendary in the community. And the Squiddy AL, while not being the greatest beginner recommendation in my hands, or in my personal opinion, just from the way that it flips, it does have a little bit of weirdness to it because what's special about this is much like the Canyon here, it is all one material, except this time it is all aluminum. So you have an entirely aluminum balisong, which means that the weight distribution, I'm not even going to get into that, is going to feel much different than a typical balisong. So I don't typically like to recommend the Squiddy AL to beginners specifically, but the reason that I bring it up is not only is it made in America, so hopefully not subject to, tripling in price, but a lot of professional and highly advanced skilled flippers flip the Squiddy AL and love it. I've heard people rave about the Squiddy AL from all corners of the skill ladder, from the very bottom to the very top. So if you're looking for something that truly will stand out in your collection for years to come, especially with its unique, blade shape and its unique build with it all being aluminum, this is something that won't be replaced in your collection. This is kind of like one of those novelty items. And I shouldn't call it a novelty item because it really isn't. It's not just like a gimmick. It's a genuinely good balisong. But this is something that also won't get overshadowed by the rest of your collection as you keep collecting. Finally, we have this. This is the BB Barfly Barracuda, and this represents a price range that I do not recommend that you get as a beginner. This is the $100 and over price range. Now listen, if you want to go balls to the wall, more power to you. Great. There's so many videos out there about all of these. It's probably my favorite price point, from $100 to $200. Fantastic balisongs like the Barracuda, the Sirius, the Prisma Rip, the Baikal, stuff like that. And it's a genuinely great place to find an addition to your collection. But the reason that I don't recommend that beginners spend that much on this hobby is because this is something that you could pick up. It's a fact of life. It's a hobby that you could pick up and it couldn't be for you. Maybe it's the amount of skill that's required or the amount of time that you need to put in to get to the level that you want to. I know for me personally, I was having dreams of flipping like crazy when I got my first balisong, and I couldn't do anything for about 3 months. It took me to do something that was actually kind of cool, So this just kind of avoids you spending $100 on something that might end up just sitting there. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, and I truly hope it doesn't for you, but it is a possibility. That combined with the fact that the $75 tier is genuinely so good now, that I don't really think you're missing out on much if you do go this road, because you can always upgrade later. But those of you that go balls to the wall, there are options there. Go check out some other videos from other content creators on this price range. Some notable places to start. Like I said earlier, you're looking at things like the Squid Trainer, the Barracuda V2, the BB Firefly V2. You could even be looking at things like the Baikal or the Sirius V4. There's a lot of things there that you can get. But for your typical balisong beginner, not something that I totally recommend unless you know that this is going to be, this is going to be for you. And there we have it. That's not all. There's plenty of other things that you can look up and get opinions on, but I wanted to give you kind of a bite-sized view into the different price ranges that you can spend on in these tiers, what you're going to get. Realistically, you get the same level of quality in all of these products that I offer or that I have talked about today. There are some things that won't offer that level of quality, but there are plenty of other content creators on YouTube that you can check out for their opinions on various balisongs to make sure that you don't get one that might fall apart in a week or two. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and either myself or another helpful member of the community will hopefully answer them for you. And until next time, hopefully you stick around. Hopefully we see you in the hobby. It's a genuinely cool hobby that I do really enjoy. But I'll see you then. Later.